Hi guys. So I want to start this video off by introducing myself. My name is Chelsea and I am from Canada. I am 19 years old and I am bipolar. So I've been thinking about doing this video for a while. I actually have another channel, which is a beauty channel, which I did talk about my bipolar. Actually, I think 2 weeks ago I posted it. I pretty much summarized what had happened in the past year. And I thought, I could do this again on this channel and I could summarize to you guys everything that had happened in the past year and a half. And then I could continue on doing videos about my bipolar and things like that. But then I thought, summarizing it isn't going to make you guys feel connected to me as much as I would like you to. And I want to do this video because I want to spread awareness, I suppose, about bipolar. I also want to help as many people as possible. If one person watches this or if 100 people watch this, I don't care. I just want someone to watch this and say, wow, I'm not alone. There are other people in the world who are like me, or if you're not bipolar, to just feel for people with bipolar, because there's so many, jokes, and people are like, people with bipolar are crazy and this and that, and people don't really have an understanding on it. I didn't have an understanding on it until I was diagnosed a month ago, and I didn't have a clue what bipolar entitled. So I'm going to talk before being diagnosed. I'm going to tell you about the past year, and then in my next video I will, continue. So let's just start off. Okay. So one of the first times that I noticed something wasn't right was a year ago. Last February, I was in my first year of college, and I noticed that I was depressed a lot. I was more reserved, I guess. I used to hang out with my friends a lot. I used to always be out of the house, and then I would have long periods of time where I just wanted to just be alone and not be out with people and not do things that I like doing. And so I went to my doctor. Actually, at first I went to the counselor at my college, and they said, oh, it sounds like depression, so you should go to your doctor. And I went to my doctor, and he was just like, oh, okay, well, you're depressed for a couple days and then you're fine for a couple days, so you must have depression. He put me on antidepressants, and I went from there. And now, at first, when I took the antidepressants, I did notice something. Well, first of all, antidepressants usually make you feel kind of like a zombie. So I noticed I was feeling just really numb, I guess, really emotionless and just okay. And at first I didn't mind it because I was like, I'd rather feel emotionless than sad all the time. And then it started to really bother me because I was like, I hate not feeling things. And also after probably 2 months, they just didn't work anymore. I still was depressed, and then I'd be really happy for times. And so I went off of them during the summertime, and I stayed off of them until actually recently. And so I went off of them in the summer, and then I actually moved away from home for the first time. I went to a different college, about 2 hours away from my parents' house, and I moved into the college residence. And at first that went great, and I thought that was the answer to my problems, that I was just depressed at home and that I just needed to get out and that it would magically be better. And the excitement that came with being on my own, I guess it did make me feel better for a little bit. And then it started to come back again, especially I'm in the child and youth worker program, and that is a lot of acknowledgement of yourself, because something that we learn is you have to take care of yourself before you can take care of others. So we did a lot of papers, a lot of essays, a lot of just work on ourselves, talking about ourselves, going into, our problems, because a lot of times people in the child and youth program, they go there because they have experienced things, so something has drawn them in there. So I guess talking about myself more and more and more kind of brought up the issue that, it's not normal to be depressed like this. It's not normal to be upset for long periods of time. But I continue to just do my work and hang out with friends a lot. I was never really alone because I lived on residence, so there was always like a million other people around, and I would always go and hang out with my friends and really keep myself busy. And I would say I did notice that I was depressed, but it was more, I'd push it aside because I would be like, whatever, I'm going to hang out with my friends. I'm not going to, let it show. And I remember one time actually telling this girl who I became close with at college that I was depressed a lot, and she was like, really? You don't seem like it. You're always really, like, happy. And I was like, yeah, well, because I keep it to myself. I wouldn't say I got better. I would say I got better at hiding it. So I pushed it under the rug for a really long time, well, a couple months, and then I got my own apartment. I moved in with my boyfriend. That was great. That was awesome. I was really excited about having my own place. It was the very first apartment I had ever lived in, so it was really exciting to me. So once again, the excitement was there. I was, busy. I was working all the time. I never really had time for myself ever. So I just, once again, I pushed it under the rug. I pretended like it wasn't there, and so on. And then I would say probably this past January is when I really sat down and went, something is really wrong. It's not just depression. Something is definitely up, because I was starting to think differently than I thought before. Like, I never was really a big partier. I was wanting to, like, go out and do crazy things, and then all of a sudden I would just want to be upset, be in my room, not want to get up, which was odd for me because I don't usually like to sit around the house. I usually like to do things, and I would just want to be in bed all day, and I was tired all the time and upset, and vice versa. I'd be really happy and go, and I was like, this isn't normal. I know people have their up and down days, but it was really patterned, because it'd be like 3 days depressed, 3 days really high. Like, it was a really up and down roller coaster. Like, it was on a schedule, and I was like, not normal. So I started to question it. I started to kind of do a lot of research, especially in the program that I'm in. We learned a lot about bipolar. We learned a lot about other kind of disorders, and I was like, maybe I have an anxiety, because I do get anxious a lot. Maybe, there were so many things that I thought maybe I have, because, in all honesty, if anyone takes a checklist of different disorders on any given day, if you're having a bad day, you could probably check off, like, a bunch of those things, because, people show traits of anxiety some days. They show traits of depression some days. So, you can honestly flip anything into thinking that you have it. When you don't, it needs to be for a certain amount of time, all this and that. So there was a bunch of things that I thought, maybe I have that. But, so I did my research, I reached out, I tried to find a psychiatrist, which are super expensive, so I didn't get to do that. And then we're going to fast forward until March or April, I would say. And that is definitely when I hit rock bottom. The past couple months, I kind of lived with it. I kind of, knew something was wrong, but not really don't know who to reach out to. Do I go to a doctor? Do I go to a hospital? Like, what do I do? There's so many places for when you're sick, when you're physically sick, but what do you do when you're mentally sick? I had no idea. I didn't tell my parents about it because I don't know, how do you bring that up to your parents? Like, Mom, Dad, I think something's wrong with me, like, mentally, and I kept it to myself. And the pivotal moment is one night, I think it was actually in April, I became really depressed. I started around April to March, I started feeling really suicidal, which is not like me. A year ago, I would think about suicide and say, I'm never going to do that, never an option, never thought about it. And all of a sudden, it became a huge option in my head. I truly wanted to die. Like, I felt like, for no reason whatsoever, like, I just did not want to be here anymore. And so one night, I went and I cut my arms, which is so not like me. I do not like blood. I used to see people who would cut themselves and say, like, why do they do that? Like, there's so many other ways. Like, I remember even having a conversation to my friend about being depressed and saying I would never cut myself because, you know, that's gross, never gonna do it. But one night I was doing that, and so I was talking a lot about suicide, so my boyfriend ended up taking me to the hospital, and from there they connected me with the local mental health agency, which the appointment was 2 weeks away, which they said it was an urgent intake psychiatrist or something like that, urgent care person. And I'm like, 2 weeks isn't urgent. When you feel like you're gonna kill yourself, 2 weeks feels like 2 years. Every single day feels like forever. So I mean, I went to the hospital a lot. Like, I just kept going to the hospital and seeing people, and they would talk to me, and they'd be like, hey, you can do it, 2 weeks, you will get through this. And it was really hard. And I remember he called my parents that night and, you know, informed my mom I was at the hospital, I had cut myself. My mom was freaking out because she had no idea that anything was wrong. She was just like, what? Like, why are you doing this? And it was really hard. I was really confused. I didn't know what was wrong with me. I didn't know how to fix myself. All I knew is I got in these moods and it was like a switch went off and I had absolutely no control. It was confusing. It was annoying because it's like a vicious circle, because you get depressed for no reason and then you get upset because you're like, why am I depressed for no reason? So then you're depressed that you're depressed. So it's just this vicious circle of like anger and depression and like guilt, because I felt really bad for the people around me that they had to see this, and I felt bad for my parents because they live far away and I know that they would want to be there, and I pushed them away. I did. I was like, just leave me alone, I don't need your help type of thing. I didn't say it like that, but I was like, you know, I just withdrew and I was like, I don't need your help, I don't want you worrying about me. And it was bad. It was really, really, I don't know, a lot of emotions were going on, a lot of confusement and, you know, just feeling honestly crazy. I felt crazy. I felt like my mind is insane. There is something so wrong with me. I do not know what it is. I am just crazy. I am out of control. And it was hard. It really, truly was hard. And then finally my appointment came, and so I told my psychiatrist everything, and thank goodness my town is so awesome because it has a local mental health office, which the psychiatrist visit is 100% free. They have counselors, which are free. Like, it was so, I'm so thankful for them, because I can't, like, I'm 19, I live in, you know, an apartment, I go to school, I cannot afford to see a psychiatrist. So I'm so grateful that they have that to offer to me. So I saw her and I told her everything that had gone on, everything I felt, and she was like, you definitely paint a clear picture of being bipolar. Especially, I was very aware of myself. I know a lot of times people, they don't really notice their feelings and stuff, but I think just the fact that I was in a child and youth worker program, it kind of helped me to be a little bit more aware of myself. So I was able to tell her pretty much a lot of things. Like, I wrote a lot of things down. I like dates. I told her times that I felt upset. Like, cause I still am very aware of myself. When I'm upset, you know, I know that I'm about to be upset. I can feel it coming on, which, I mean, doesn't help, cause it's not like, you know, I wish I could see myself being depressed and stop it. I can't, but however, I'm aware of it. So she told me, you're bipolar. And I remember just sitting there and I knew something was wrong. I knew something was wrong. But to hear someone tell you, you are bipolar, was like, oh my goodness, wow. And another thing as well, I knew it's not curable. I studied bipolar in school. I know it's not curable. I know it's nothing that, right now anyhow, that they can cure. So, and I already knew that, but for her to say, it's not curable, it's manageable, it's not curable, that really hit me so hard, because I was like, wow, for the rest of my life, I'm going to be like this. and that moment was, I can still remember it now. It was only a month ago, so of course I can still remember it, but I had so many feelings, so many, like, I thought my life was gonna end. I could see my life crashing. I'm like, I'm never gonna get a job. I'm never gonna finish school. Especially, that's one thing I forgot to mention. My schoolwork honestly took a huge toll because I would go, you know, and I would do all my schoolwork. I'd be super happy, blah, blah, blah. And then I would get depressed and I would not do my schoolwork at all. I would just not hand it in, not do it, not care. Thank goodness my professor was, you know, she was an old or a retired CYW, so she knows, you know, what happens when you're depressed. So she was so nice and so grateful, and I mean, I'm so grateful that she would let me hand in my assignments late. However, I did end up, in the end, taking time off, and I'm taking time off until next year because it was just too overwhelming, and my marks, I wasn't failing, but I'm not doing great because, I mean, you go from being really happy and doing such good schoolwork to just being depressed and doing, like, you know, bare minimum. So my marks weren't really great. I didn't want that. And we both agreed it would be best for me to take some time off. And so I did that. And I am taking time off right now, which, I mean, I'm glad I am. It's hard. I would rather be in school, but I'm glad that I'm taking time. But yeah, that's all I really want to talk about for today because I wanted to make sure that I put as much detail as possible. In my next video, I'm going to talk about the whole psychiatrist meeting. It was an hour, so more went on than just you're bipolar. There was a lot of dialogue. So I'll go into that in my next video, but I really just wanted to explain to you guys the before math, what had happened before being diagnosed. What the appointment was May 7th, so what had happened until that pivotal day, that life-changing day. Honestly, it was a life-changing day. But yeah, I really hope that you guys enjoy these videos. If you have any questions or anything you want me to touch on, you can definitely go ahead and let me know. But thanks guys for watching this first video, and I will definitely be back to continue on my story. Thanks, bye.